What's up, everybody? It's your man White Wolf, and welcome back to another exciting training session. In today's lesson, we're going to be covering how to overcome shame. So, let's go ahead and get started. Well, let us first describe what is shame. If we type in the definition of shame into the Google search, we get a painful feeling of humiliation or distress caused by the consciousness of wrong or foolish behavior. I think that's a pretty good definition of shame. The key word we really need to focus on here is humiliation. When we are feeling guilty because of the things that we do, because we're actively making poor decisions, we overcome that with self-love by making sure that we care enough about ourselves to be making better decisions. We start choosing and caring about ourselves in a way that we progress ourselves, we care about our future, we making decisions that help us along our path. Now, even though we are now making better decisions and making better choices, shame is like that shadow that we carry and follows you around. Shame is remembering those instances of when we were doing things that we're not proud of. It is that humiliation that we feel inside of us from making poor choices. Not only when we make poor choices, it's also when we feel that people have done things to us, when we feel that people have humiliated us, and then it starts to manifest in anger and vengeance. Shame is that shadow, that heavy load that we always carry around with us, that we have to learn to let go of through forgiveness. To overcome shame, we use forgiveness. When it comes to dealing with shame, the first aspect we really have to deal with is acceptance. We have to accept the things that we cannot change. We have to accept that at a point in time we were at a certain place that we made decisions that we're not proud of. We made decisions that might have hurt people. We made decisions that might have hurt us. We might feel that people hurt us. We might feel that people humiliated us. And now that time has moved forward, we still look back on those situations and feel that people have taken our power or that we are not worthy of that power. We have to accept the situations that occurred. And then we have to start to really forgive. Forgiveness is one of the most powerful tools we can start to develop. When we look at our life and we start going back through, we see we have ups and downs. We see we've been at places, we made decisions, we made choices. And seeing where we're at now compared to those times, hopefully should give us some hope. Hopefully shows us that we've been learning, that we've been growing, that we're not making the same type of decisions that we were making 5 years ago, 10 years ago. That we've learned and grown as a person. And if we haven't, that's okay too. It just means that it's time that we start to do some real reflection and that we're seeing that we are making the same choices over and over and over again. And if we are making those same choices, then we need to go back to that self-love so we can start making better choices. Once we're making these better choices and we're accepting the past as it is, we can start to let go of all those heavy weights. The thing is, as we are making these better choices, you're going to be tested. You're going to be tested in ways to see if you really have made a change, if you have for real made that change. If you've really decided to love yourself and go in the direction that you want to go for the betterment of yourself. And these tests are not going to be easy, and they might take time. They might take a long time. But when we start to realize that we're not making those decisions anymore, and we start to really realize that we're working for our own betterment, we can honestly and earnestly forgive ourselves. We do not need to hang on to those remnants. We don't need to keep beating ourselves down. We do not need to give up our strength. And we do not need to feel like anybody has taken our strength from us. Shame has so many different appearances. And I think that's just one thing to really remember, is that shame has many forms. We say humiliation because it really helps us to understand when we are experiencing shame. But that humiliation looks so different, and depending on the circumstances and the situations we face. Let me talk a little bit about my journey. When I was in Afghanistan, for the first 6 to 7 months of being there, it was very much like being in prison. It was very difficult. It was so many blockages developed inside of myself, inside of my teammates, because of our immediate leadership, that at one point we started talking about how we're about to kill our leadership. My team leader at the time was an individual who had many blockages inside of himself. He was trying to fit in. He was trying to pretend to be something he's not. We're all going to Afghanistan. We're all here. We're all trying to be these tough guys. This individual, he very much tried to pretend to be this tough guy to impress our squad leader, to impress the other team leader. The second team leader, he was very much one of those guys who were very prideful. He was very much this type of macho man type of mentality. He had a background in martial arts and fighting. My squad leader at the time, he had a background in Ranger School, in Ranger Bat, for a very short time. And before we got there, we really enjoyed these individuals. We loved being under these people. We thought we were blessed with one of the most high-speed squads. And then when we got to Afghanistan, things started to change. The way that they started treating us was so... it made me feel very much shame. We were all the time training. We were always being prepared. Now let me tell you, there ain't nothing wrong with training. But it was to the point where it was so ridiculous. We would go on missions, come back, train and train and train. It'd be a very specific type of training until we would collapse. We would watch every single thing we would eat. They would be hovering watching, making sure we did eat certain things, controlling every aspect of our food. They were controlling every aspect of when we were talking to our families. They were controlling every moment of our day. When we got back, after we got done cleaning our weapons, cleaning our ammo, getting everything prepared for the next mission, it was going straight into learning the entire time. There was no time to take a breath. When we had to take our shower, they had to supervise us when we went into the shower. We were supervised when we went into the bathroom. We had to have a bow buddy system just going to the urinal. It was very frustrating. And it was continuous months, over and over, being pushed, being yelled at. The team leaders started to knock some of the dudes out. It was the way that you would just be screamed at all the time, nonstop. It was very much frustrating. It made me feel very powerless. The thing is, I felt so unworthy. The shame and humiliation I felt, it just fostered in me into unworthiness, into anger. My teammate at the time, him continuously breaking down. My other squad mates. It was just a lot, man. At the same time being in Afghanistan and going against the Taliban and doing our patrols and watching out for IEDs and getting hit with IDF and just all this other shit. And it was hard because the rest of the platoon, seeing how they were living, they had so much more freedom than us. They weren't supervised every second of the day. They weren't being watched like Big Brother. They had time to relax, to chill at times. They were playing games. I had homies who were watching Game of Thrones and doing all types of other fun things. And it was just so frustrating. I felt so disempowered. And then, of course, everybody has this mentality because we're in Afghanistan, and it's just like, yeah, we want to be ready to do anything. We be ready for any situation. But it was so ridiculous. And just being treated like shit was so fucking frustrating. And then we started, as the lower, all my teammates, we started really talking about doing things that would have landed up all of us in jail. I had a homie. He would always sing. He would just sing when he was talking. He would just sing. We'd be on tower guard sometimes. And this man, he was just so funny. He would just sing about the day, and he had this thing going on with this one girl, and it was like the most funny drama. It was just a good time. It was just crazy. And seeing him turn into his darker aspects, talking about how he's ready to take some people out. Seeing my boy coming to me, breaking down, telling me how he's ready to take himself out. And then we go and we finally, after months and months and months and months of this, we finally come together and we decide to go to our upper leadership, our platoon sergeant. And at the time, the platoon sergeant didn't give a fuck. And after we told, shit just got fucking worse. And as time kept going on, we just kept moving forward Luckily for us, one of the other squad leaders was like, what the fuck is going on? He would start to talk to us. He would talk, because we would talk to our boys, because our boys would be like, dude, we haven't seen y'all for freaking weeks and months. Like, what are y'all doing all the time? And we would tell them. And it's like hearing them having time to chill and relax. It would just create this internal type of anger and conflict and jealousy. But the other squad leader who started asking questions was freaking cool, man. This dude was so freaking awesome. Because it finally started seeming like someone gave a fuck. And he was really starting to investigate shit. And finally, after about month 7, month 8, around there, they finally decided to remove our leadership. We got split up, we got put underneath different individuals, and it was like, holy shit. It was like night and day. At this point, just so fucking burnt out. But we still doing our job. We still getting after it. And I'm saying this because the shame I felt, because I blamed these individuals. I felt like they took away my power. I felt helpless. I felt very much in a place of unworthiness. A particular time specifically was we were on Tower Guard one day with my old leadership. And we're doing our thing, chilling. It's a quiet night. And then one of my homies, my teammate here, he decided to bust out his phone. Now, obviously, you're not supposed to have your phone on Tower Guard. And I don't know why he was in there with one of the other team members, and they got caught on their phone. And so then when our shift finally got over, we go to our room. They put me to the side and they line up the rest of my teammates. We were small teams at the time. Our team consisted of 3 people. So they lined up my teammate and then the Bravo team's 2 teammates. And then the Bravo team leader just goes ham, just goes in and knocks each one of them. Just clock. Homie falls down. Next homie falls down. Third homie, he gets back up after he fell down. And I'm over on the side just watching this. And the amount of shame I felt for not doing anything about it. About just staying quiet. And just allowing it to happen and just watching it happen. That ate me up inside for a very long time. In fact, that really reminded me of certain aspects that I will not allow to be in my life again. I will not allow myself to be a fucking bystander again. And I say this story because now, after a lot of forgiveness, a lot of forgiveness, and I still need to do more forgiveness. I don't hate these individuals. I don't hate myself. I don't even hate the situation. The situation was what it was. For the longest time, I couldn't even think of any of these individuals without getting so angry and so mad and going back into a certain place in myself. Now, I can at least acknowledge and say, look, I know they did the best that they could. None of us is perfect. They never took away my power. The truth is, I allowed everything that happened to me. I was, I had a role to play into it. And I'm able to recognize that now. And I'm able to learn from that experience. And now I know there's certain things I will never allow happen to me or to other individuals near me again. I'm able to say, hey, Sarn, I forgive you. Hey, Squad Leader, I forgive you. Hey, Self, I forgive you. And though I still have a lot more forgiving to still do, because forgiveness is a continuous process. Now my feelings towards it have shifted to a place of feeling like my power was taken to realizing that I've always had my power. And now I know how to keep my power under any situation that I face going forward. No matter what it may look like, no matter who's telling me what, I know how to keep my power. And I tell this story because when we're talking about shame has so many different appearances. To me, realizing that it's shame is when I start to look back and I'm realizing I'm giving up my power. Is to me really about giving up our personal power. Because once we give up our power, it makes it hard to take the action we need or to even feel worthy of the action required. We start feeling like we're just not worthy. And that's not true. We're all worthy. Worthy of reaching your dreams. It's no secret. I talk about my past a little bit, especially I've never been the best type of guy. I had porn addiction, sex addiction. And after I came clean to my wife about all of it, I felt very much when it came to relationships that I just wasn't worthy for a very long time. Everything that was happening to me, I just felt like I deserved it. all the craziness. The thing is about shame, to me, it has so many different faces. It's easy to say the word shame, but the fact is getting back down to the original, that shame is the seed that all these different manifestations of anger, hatred, unworthiness comes from. And then they're intertwined and they grow in different areas. And it takes cutting them down slowly, till we get back to the original seed and realizing, oh snap, I gave up my power because of the way I was interpreting a past situation. When it came for me and kind of just getting over or feeling empowered, it really took one, time, and two, just focusing on myself, on my goals, staying away from the things that made me guilty, being tested, staying in my power, growing my power, growing the badass that I know I am every day. Because now I know when the time is right, I will be ready for another relationship and I will not make the same mistakes I did. But right now, I'm having too much fun focusing on my purpose. I'm feeling damn good about where I am now. Seeing the world in this state of darkness and being the type who ain't scared of shit to be able to say, hey, we can change this shit. We can make this world beautiful for everybody. And having many people ridicule you, having many people laugh at me, having many people try to come against me, having the whole city try to take me down. Psh, I ain't even phased. I'm like, psh, you think that will stop me? Moi? Huh. Please. We're gonna make this world beautiful for everybody. That's a fact. And yeah, I guess now sometimes even I realize I start getting to that place of gotta check that polarity. It's easy to go into the opposite direction too. Start getting prideful. I try not to be prideful. But when you pushing yourself every single day and you really feel like, that's the thing. We don't look for external support. You gotta support yourself every step of the way. It's you pushing yourself and God pushing you. Your spirit team pushing you. And at first, it's hard to hear them. You gotta grow closer, and it takes time. And you do it, and it's just like, oh snap. And then you don't feel alone. And then when you're back on the ground, it's just like, yep. You gotta have that confidence in yourself. And that's the number one thing that shame tries to take out is your confidence. You have to have that confidence in yourself. That is important. Believe in yourself. Because now when you do believe in yourself, you're hanging on to your power every step of the way. Let me tell you, when I was going through that divorce process and I was fighting to get my children back and, I had restraining order, I had so many things being said against me, I had a lot of people coming up against me. When I was in shame, I felt like all of it was justified. I felt that even some of the things that people were saying might have been right. Shit, I wanted to crawl into a little hole and bury myself away. But God got me. God has you. Trust. Because as I trusted, God showed me, hey, nah, get that shit out here. Stay focused. You got this. God uplifted me every single day when I couldn't do it myself. God was like, keep fucking going. Get your power back. And God showed me how to get my power back through forgiveness. It was through forgiveness my power returned to me. Let me tell you, I forgive my ex-wife. Heck, to this day now, I still forgive her. I be forgiving her every day sometimes. No matter how things turn out. Forgiveness. But when I first started forgiving, it was very difficult. It was very hard. Very, 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 very hard. Did rituals. If you know about cord cutting, we're going to talk about that in another episode. Doing a cord cutting is very helpful. And sometimes you don't just do it one time. Let me tell you, I've done a cord cutting like 3 times. Okay, on the same individual. But it helps so much. There's so many different tools and tactics of forgiving. Oh, myself. Yeah, I know I wasn't the best guy, but shoot, I appreciate my good qualities. I appreciate the good things I did in my past relationship. And now I appreciate myself more because I know who I am, because I've been building myself up. Shame is about when we give up our power. And shame manifests itself in so many different areas so very fast. And though we start seeing anger, hatred, unworthiness, sadness, different aspects, when we get back down to the root of them, a lot of times they come from shame, the seed of shame, that humiliation. And through empowering yourself, through forgiving, that forgiveness, you know everything's going to be all right. You know you got this. You have your power. And you start feeling stronger than ever. And now you don't have these shadows following you anymore. People who remind you of the past, you look at them like, yeah, that happened. And I know who I am now. I know how strong I am now. I know how powerful I am now and what I can do for this world to make it beautiful. And ultimately, in my opinion, that's the beautiful thing about overcoming shame, is you get back your power. You are able to drop the heavy sandbags. You're able to release those shadows that follow you around. You're able to look back at the past and know that it helped make you. That it didn't happen to you, but happened for you. So you, that freaking badass, could be where you're at now. Strong as fuck. Ready to do beautiful things. And so, family, I hope this episode was helpful. To me, shame is not a straightforward thing. You know, we give it a definition, humiliation. We give the way of overcoming, forgiveness. But as you heard through my stories, each one of those is so many different aspects in its own way. There's no one way of forgiving. There's no one way of humiliation. And all of these things manifest in different ways. Before I end it, I just want to talk about some methods of forgiving. Some very powerful methods that help me out a lot. 1, grab yourself a journal. If you don't have a journal, get yourself a journal. A journal is so important. It's so important for so many reasons. When we talk about healing, a journal is going to be your best friend. When we talk about keeping ourselves on track, a journal is going to be your best friend. When we talk about really tracking ourselves, watching our habits, just putting our ideas, our dreams on paper, a journal is going to be your best friend. And so, grab yourself your journal. And the first way of healing or forgiving, healing through forgiveness that we'll talk about, is write out how you feel. Write out how you feel about the situation. Write out how you feel towards that person. Write out how they made you hurt or just what's going through your mind. It is so important just to get that stuff onto a piece of paper and just put all your feelings into it. There's gonna be some tears, homies. There's gonna be some tears coming out. Get all your anger, all your sadness, all your just painful emotions out there on that piece of paper and just write and write and write and talk about that situation. That is going to really help a whole lot. Second way, or another way of forgiving that we can talk about, once we start getting a little bit further down the line, is not so painful, and we start tapping into our meditation practices a little bit more. Do a meditation on forgiveness. There are some really good meditations that will take you into some different places that you'll be like, whoa. I personally like one that brings you to the bottom of the ocean, and you just put all that hurt, you just give it into God, give it to the sea, and you're feeling yourself starting to float higher and higher, becoming lighter and lighter, breaking your way back to the surface. Another way of forgiving, cord cutting. Cord cutting is super strong, and then that one's, in my opinion, doing the whole ritual behind it makes it even more powerful. When you start setting up your candles, you get in the pictures, you're starting to really be more intentional about things. It really helps just to channel out that energy that you have inside of you. But yeah, start with journaling first. And journaling is going to lead you to so many more practices. And so I just wanted to slip that in there real quick before we closed out some ways of doing some practices for forgiveness, get into that place of forgiveness. So I'm going to leave it there, family. I hope people were able to kind of get help out of this. The thing I want to stress the most important about this is, for our root, we must overcome fear, become fearless, find your faith. Guilt, we must stop the things that make us guilty. Choose self-love. Start making those better decisions now. 3, when you see the remnants of the past try to poke their head up and try to make you feel humiliated, forgive yourself. Forgive everybody involved. That anger that you feel towards somebody who harmed you or you feel that harmed you, forgive them. Because they were only the stepping stone to lead you to your badassery of freaking awesomeness. Forgive yourself. You need to learn those lessons in order to unlock your badassery. And I'm going to leave it there, YouTube family. Thank you, everybody, for making it to the end of this training session. Go ahead, and head to the Stand store, type in White Wolf 719, and get you a free Warriors of Light leveling guide. This leveling guide is going to help you get from level 1 to level 2 to level 3. Like we talked about in our chakra series, level 3, you understand your chakras. You have your purpose. You are talking to God and your spirit teams. You have your knowing and the correct knowing that you need to erase these illusions trying to slow us down. Go ahead, check out the Warriors of Light podcast. Got some good information there, some good stories, some good life lessons, some important messages. So check that out. Hit the subscribe button and get ready just for some more training, some more ways for us to open up our energetic pathways. And everybody, have a great, beautiful, and blessed rest of your day, rest of your week. And know, hey, if you're down and out, no matter where you're at, just trust in God. Because God can lift you up when you can't do it yourself. And everybody take care. Peace.